Helps if you turn your microphone on. Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain and welcome to today's live stream. It is Saturday here. The weather is awful. I apologise for the fact that there was no audio at the beginning, but I didn't turn my microphone on. When I came down, I am having so much trouble with the mouse in here that I have just been sitting here for the last 5 minutes trying to get it sorted to no avail. I think I'm going to have to ditch cordless mice down here because I don't know if it's an interference-based thing, but I tried a different mouse and I'm having the same problem. It's one of these ones that use a little dongle that you plug into your USB port, and I just have this situation where I'll just be moving the mouse along and then the cursor will just stop. I can move the mouse around as much as I like, the cursor will just sit there. And it's very, 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 very frustrating. But anyhow, so that is how I ended up in a situation where I kind of sat down here and didn't do my normal checks. My normal checks do involve checking all the cameras and checking the audio. But anyhow, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The weather's awful. It's noisy because the rain hits the roof and it's just terrible. So I'm going to say hello to everyone. Thank you to all of you for joining. If I can move mouse. I don't even know where my cursor is. It's just stuck somewhere on the screen, but I don't know where. I usually get a little bit of activity. There it is. It's just sitting there. I'll switch it off and on again. Nope. Nothing. It is absolutely... I mean, the green light's on, so there's power. Oh, it moved a tiny bit then. It moved a bit. There we go. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to say hello to the people I can see because I can't scroll up. Hello to Thomas Armstrong. Hello, 8WT. Hello, Jay from the House of Moth. Hello, Mark Anning. Hello, Francois. Hello, Turbocharged. Hello, Tev Rudin. Hello, Will from KMac. Hello, Leo. Can you make up some external BlueSCSIs? I'm thinking of making a couple for my Power Mac because my floppy drive is getting kind of flaky. I sure can if you like. So I have one here. This is a case that I designed because I don't like the case that comes with it. I don't know if they've updated that case on the GitHub, but last time I checked they hadn't. But they may well have now. But the case that's on the GitHub is just... Oh, well, I did a video on it, so... But this is a BlueSCSI external that I have built before. More than happy to build another one of these. It's the internals I mainly need though. I mean, I only need a certain amount of externals. I don't actually need that many. But I'll just put that together. I always make mine, I design so they click together. The only downside to that was I found this out with... K Koba, I sent him one of my STLs, which I'm actually going to make public, and he printed it with a particular filament and he couldn't get it to close properly, and then he tried a different filament and he could get it to close properly. So this is something I built for his little SP to SD thing, and it works beautifully when I print it, but when he printed it over there he had problems with the top case clicking down. But I made a couple little changes. He tried a different filament and got it to work well, but I would like to try and design it so that it can accept some more tolerances. Okay, try unplugging through my watch charger does it to mine. I wish, like, okay, sure, I totally accept that it is interference from something, but nothing has changed down here. I don't know, maybe it's I moved some things around. Maybe the location of things is impacting it. And that's probably what I need to do. I need to spend some time here fiddling. But where do I get everything I need to build them? Okay, that's a very, very good question. Now, you will actually, if you go to the BlueSCSI GitHub for Build Your Own, they have a bomb bill of materials. And on that bill of materials, they actually have a whole bunch of product codes and the name of a place to buy them from. It's a place in China, and their component prices are just crazy cheap. They don't have everything, so it's not necessarily... I don't think they have things like through-hole capacitors and stuff like that. So for me, I can't just go in and buy everything from there. But when it comes to small surface mount components, ones used in you know, sort of building these sorts of things. They have a huge range there and an incredibly good price, and they will sell in quite small quantities as well. And so I just did an order from them. This is a box from them here. I might even be able to tell you who they are by looking at the box. It doesn't have my address on it, does it? No, it doesn't. Yeah. LCSC. Has anyone else come up with that yet? LCSC.com. That's where I buy these from. And as I say, there's heaps of things here. Loads of stuff on these SD card slots. So I did a video on the BlueSCSI external a little while ago. And Eric, BlueSCSI creator, was not particularly happy with it. There were a few reasons for that. One was that I did state some misinformation there. I first of all said that you can't build them and then sell them, and that's not true. That was the case in the early days, but they changed the license on those that you can build these yourself and then sell them anywhere you want. Apparently, yep. So as I say, that was something that was enforced early on, but it is now not the case. Apparently, you can do that. I also made the statement that the BlueSCSI uses the little mini SD card slot as a cost-saving measure, and that is also not the case. Apparently, Eric chose those because he doesn't like push-click ones. I disagree. I prefer the push-click ones to these silly little bikini ones. So I'm not necessarily going to say I agree with the decision, but it is a case that it is not a cost-based decision for them opting for that. Now, of course, what a lot of people do is they get these and they buy them pre-assembled, and then all they have to do is stick the Raspberry Pi on the top. But for me, no. I like doing surface mount soldering. So, oh, look at all these people turned up. Hello, I80386SX. Hello, Dave. Hello, Jack. Hello, Gibatronics. Can't watch at the moment in IKEA. Thanks. Oh, you got that, did you? I'm so sorry it took so long. So, here's basically the story. So, Will from KMAC sent me a bunch of stuff. Thank you again, Will. That's just some of the most awesome stuff. And in that, he sent me something to send to someone in Australia as well, because it's a lot cheaper to just send to one person and the other person on sells it than sending two separate packages from the US. So I did that, but I just took a really, really extraordinary long time to do it, and so, but I'm glad it arrived. So it should have arrived yesterday. But which IKEA are you at? You're in Vic, aren't you? Yeah. So there's only, I think there's two, maybe three IKEAs here in Sydney. I'm not too far away from one here. I love their frying pans. It's a particular type. It's not all of their frying pans, but there's a particular range of IKEA frying pans which are just awesome. I've got so many of them in the cupboard, and they are made remarkably well for an IKEA product, and they are remarkably inexpensive. So, Richmond, okay, yep. I just bought a frying pan. So there's one, I can't even remember what it's called, Fnergen or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but there is a particular frying pan that they sell there. Ceramic coating, because they've got rid of all of the Teflon stuff there because of the PFAS stuff. But they're ceramic coated. But the main thing is it's got a metal handle, and the metal handle is riveted onto the frying pan with 3 rivets. And see, for me, I want metal handles. I want a frying pan that can just go straight into the oven. I mean, I don't like plastic handles. I will not buy a frying pan or a saucepan with a plastic handle, ever. And obviously, in a lot of frying pans, they only have 2 rivets for the handle onto the frying pan, but this has 3 rivets, so well made. Right. For ultra cheap external BlueSCSI, why don't they just integrate a tiny flash storage chip onto the board so you don't need an SD card or an SD card reader? It's interesting that you say that, because that has actually happened. Not in the BlueSCSI camp, but in the ZuluSCSI camp. So I have, I haven't spoken to either of them in a while, but I have fairly close contact with the Rabbit Hole Computing SCSI to SD ZuluSCSI people. And they're the people that did a lot of the work in getting these SCSI emulators to work with a Raspberry Pi. So, I've chatted to him, and they have done that. So they've done two things. Number one, they've actually custom built some Zulu SCSIs or SCSI 2SDs, whichever one. They've custom built ones with permanently mounted SD cards. So rather than actually having a slot, it's just got a permanently mounted SD card, so that it never changes. So it's almost like a hard drive in that regard, But then they also have built them with a small storage space on them. I've got one somewhere. And you can just boot them straight up into that if you want. It's not a huge amount of space. Obviously, you could spend more money for a bigger chip and do it that way. But it's enough for you to be able to store an operating system, some utilities, some installers, stuff like that. So that has actually been done, but I think it is still more cost effective in the long run to create a device with a slot and then just use your SD cards. SD cards are so cheap, as opposed to actually mounting on a storage chip. That's my understanding, but I may not be right. Right, what am I doing here? So in my last live stream, I just need to cover that fairly quickly. So I'm looking a bit blue, aren't I? I might give myself a little bit more colour. Just give me a second. Oh, bloody mouse. Oh, look at me. Look at me change colour. There we go. I'm a little bit yellower there. Am I starting to look like I'm having kidney failure? I don't know. We'll go with that. In my last live stream, I recapped a display card. I had 13 capacitors. Sorry, I'm just keep looking down here because I'm freaking cold. I'm thinking of actually cranking up to my big heater because this one is way more powerful. So I might crank up to my big heater and to warm me up, and then I'll go to my little heater to keep me warm. So I recapped the display card, and then we tested it out, and we were still getting a few little artifacts on that display card. Now, I put that display card into the ultrasonic cleaner, got it looking absolutely magnificent, and it works perfectly. No artifacts, nothing. Crystal clear image in the 6100, so that was a very successful recap in that last live stream. I am going to be using that external display card rather than the built-in. The built-in display on the 6100 is pretty piss poor, if I'm going to put it politely, whereas that actual external display card gives you quite decent resolutions and color depth. So thousands of color primarily. If you go smaller, you can go up to millions, or true color, as they call it. That worked out really well. It was a very good live stream in that regard. Everything worked out fine. I also worked on a CD-ROM drive. I have another one here with the same problem. Should people feel like they want to go through that process again, I can't imagine they will. But I pulled apart a CD-ROM. I'll be much better at it this time. I pulled apart a CD-ROM drive and lubricated the parts so that it would eject smoothly. And it worked, and I did a little video. It went out. It went out. Sorry, folks. It's important that I'm warm. Okay. So keep going. And then I did a little video on my Facebook page. I don't know if anyone saw it, but on that video on the Facebook page, I had the CD-ROM drive, and it opened up nicely, and I dropped in a little CD of StarCraft and installed that and everything, and I had a quick little play with StarCraft. I didn't play it for long, but I just did that first tutorial round where you have to build some things and create some things and stuff like that. You need more PowerMac G5s. No, I do not. No, I do not. I had so many freaking G5s, it's not funny. I have way more than I wanted. I managed to accidentally accumulate a bunch. So I have one in my office that I keep there all the time. I use it as a bridge Mac. I think G5 is quite a handy little bridge Mac to have because I can still run OS 10.4 on it, And within that, I can then run the classic OS 9 environment. So I can run OS 9 software on that G5. I can run 10.5 in there as well. And the G5 I have up there is the dual 2.4, 2.7. I can't remember, but it's one that does not use the. Oh no, it does use the liquid cooler, but it's one of the earlier models where they don't have as much trouble. But anyhow, I have a G5 up in my office, and then in my shed over there, I have 4 more. And then I have, I've got a bunch of G5 iMacs as well. I've got one in pieces in here because I've sort of lost the will to live when I started trying to repair it. Sam Johnson, hello there. Okay, this feels like it is starting to warm up now, so I should start getting a little bit more cozy now. So anyhow, the last live stream went well. Recapping on the display card was a success. Cleaning up and lubricating that CD-ROM was a success. So that all went really, really well. There is one particular outstanding task that I need to do, but I'm actually not doing that at the moment. I'm going to leave that for another time, and that is I've got an SE30 analog board with troubles. And when I look up the troubles that it's having in old documentation, the suggestion they give for the cause of this problem is not actually the cause of the problem. So it's somewhere else and I have to find it. And I'm getting very good at finding out what isn't causing the problem, but I still have not found out what is causing the problem. Right. Okay, so now I do have a BlueSCSI here that I started on. I don't even know why I started on it, but I sort of feel like I should probably finish this one before I start another one, unless people would like me to start from scratch because they're like, hey, can you start from scratch? Yeah. I just, I'd sort of feel like it probably makes sense to just continue the one that I already started. What do you think? What do you guys think? Start a new one or finish the old one? Oh, God. Is my foot pedal going to work? Hey, foot pedal worked. Sort of worked. That's a frozen image. You can see I'm just going to just do this. I go top camera. I'm using OBS, and look, everyone knows OBS is pretty darn clunky, so it's free, so we can't complain. But at the end of the day, and for the most part, what it does is very good, but it's a bit buggy. I mean, I had one time where I was like, it said, "Oh, there's an update," and I'm like, "Oh, fantastic! There's an update because there are bugs, and I'd love to see this working without the bugs." And so I did the update, and it just crashed. Just launch, crash, launch, crash, launch, crash. So I changed back to the old version. Enzo is here. Hello there, Enzo. Any first-timers here? If there are any first-timers that are watching me for the first time, first of all, I apologise. I'm not necessarily at my best, but what is my best anyway? Hello to you. Please jump in and say hello in the chat. It's always important. The main thing that I'm going to be doing today is surface mount soldering. It's one of my favourite pastimes, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. And talking about nonsense as well at the same time, because that's just what I do. Finish the old one. Okay, we're going to finish the old one. But I need to, and obviously the very important thing when it comes to doing this sort of soldering, if it's something you've never done before, or you're thinking about doing before, or you're doing it and you're having trouble with it, please feel free to ask questions. Hello, Foxhound. That's what I'm here for. I mean, if I'm doing something here and you're thinking, why are you doing it that way, or shouldn't you do it this way, or whatever, or how come when I do it, it doesn't work? Please feel free to ask questions. I encourage that. All right, so BlueSCSI, I have over here a plastic container with BlueSCSI components. Now, if I run out, it's okay, I've got more in a box, but these are all the components I need for making these. And I generally work, if I just zoom out here a little bit, I generally work from the top left across. So we've got capacitors there, 4.7 microfarad, 8 of them. Oh, really important. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. straight off the bat. I am using here a BlueSCSI V2 because if we're going to go into a little bit of BlueSCSI history here, the BlueSCSI originally existed, the old one, the BlueSCSI version 1, which ran on the little Blue Pill development board. That is where the name came from. Thomas B, hello there. Is anyone here aware of any possible way to connect a 68K Mac floppy drive to USB? Now look, one of the best people to speak about that would be Steve from Mac 84, but he's not here, and for that he's going to be in such trouble. But it is my understanding, no. You can buy USB floppy drives, but this is the reason why you're asking this question. You may already be well aware of this. Those old floppy drives are a bit of an anomaly compared to new floppy drives. One of the reasons is that they spin at varying speeds. They spin at different speeds depending on where they're reading from it. And that was an unusual thing of those floppies. And so the floppy drives, the mechanics of the floppy drives are different to the more modern floppy drives, the ones that you might buy in a USB. And so those USB ones are fine if you're reading, say, a 1.4 megabyte disk. But if you're trying to do like an 800K or a 400K disk, I don't think they will do it at all. Now, that's my understanding, and it could be completely and totally wrong. And to my knowledge, I don't believe anyone has actually set up some sort of bridging mechanism to go from one of those original Sony floppy drives, 68K floppy drives, across to doing some sort of USB. If I'm ever wanting to get something off one of those disks, I copy it onto a 68K Mac and then I transfer it across to a modern Mac. What's the best way to remove SMD caps if you don't have a heat gun? Get a heat gun. They're very inexpensive. I wouldn't remove them without a heat gun. As simple as that. So, most USB to floppy drives won't even read 720K disks. If there is a solution to this, I would love to be proven wrong. Yeah, I would agree. So you can. I have sometimes removed surface mount caps using a soldering iron. I mean, you could use solder tweezers. It's another option, solder tweezers. So you can heat both sides as you lift the component off. That's one way of doing it. You can do it with. You can actually do it with two soldering irons if you want. Two cheap soldering irons, one in each hand. Just go in there, heat both sides, lift it off. You can do that. I have done a method where I remove the solder from one side and sort of gently bend it up a little bit, then remove the solder from the other side and gently bend it up, and just keep doing it until the component rocks off. But that's very time consuming and does have inherent risks. But other than that, I will never recommend cutting the tops off them, though that is probably, if there was some sort of desperation situation going on, that is probably the method I would go with, snipping the top off the cap and then lifting the rest off carefully, and then just removing each pin separately with a soldering iron. If I was in a real bind or a pickle, that is probably the method I would go with. But even that one comes with it risks. So, what are your thoughts on wrist-mounted multimeters? Though this relates to a little message that I sent through to the guys today. I was on Facebook, and I had a little Temu ad come up on my Facebook feed, and it had a picture of a multimeter as like a wrist-mounted multimeter with the leads hanging off the side. An idea which I think is kind of a bit funny, because what do you do with the leads? You know, I mean, are you going to walk around and have the leads dangling on the ground or something like that? But Nando Cuz, hello there. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sitting here and I have got 3 multimeters here. I don't need 3 multimeters, but if you know me, you know I love multimeters. I will probably buy one of those wrist-mounted multimeters because they exist. That's a good enough reason for me. I have multimeter tweezers floating around here somewhere, so they're like they're tweezers. They're just tweezers, and they're around here somewhere. And they're a multimeter, and so you can just put them on either side of a component to measure them, stuff like that. Very nifty. All right, that's enough of that. So I need to work out where I'm up to with this partly built BlueSCSI. You can see it's kind of dirty. It's had flux on it. Excuse me. I've left it. It's got dust on it now. Dust stuck to flux. So this will probably be a little bit more interesting when it comes to, to using it. So I've got to figure out where I'm up to here. C11, C10, C12, C15, C16. Okay, C11. Okay, so I've done these ones here. So that's 13 of them. So I'm pretty sure. Oh, I've got to zoom out again. Zoom out. Sorry. I was just humming along there and it just about turned into the Smurfs tune. Anyone remember Smurfs? Or is that just something for us old people? With Gargamel? What was the name of the dog? Does anyone remember the name of the dog? Gargamel's dog? He'll show your age if you will show your age if you do. Is what I was trying to say. I'm just looking for my multimeter tweezers. I'm just not sure where I would have put them because they're kind of nifty. So I probably put them away. So, here they are. These are my multimeter tweezers. They'll be a flat battery, so they won't work, but because they have an auto power off, and the auto power off doesn't work terribly well. They have a tendency to just come on by themselves, and so then the battery goes flat. But these are my little multimeter tweezers, so you can just sort of put them over here, and you can test a component sort of like that. You can't test that because it's a capacitor. You can't test those in circuit. But, you get the gist of it. It's quite good for just continuity and things like that. And this little thing comes off here, and then the battery is in here, so I think you charge this. No, hang on. Yeah, so you I think you charge this thing, and then you put that on top. Yeah, so, anyhow, there they are. So I did put them somewhere important. That's good. Azrael, that's the one. Azrael was the name of the cat. Yes, well done. Well done, Inkscube. You win the turkey for today. I'm just looking under here for all the things that get buried. All right, so let's continue. Let's continue here. I'll move this CD-ROM drive. I'm going to work on that at some stage, but maybe not today. And then we go here. So we've done these. There's 13 of those needed. So I'm going to assume that they are all done. Some of these have no label on this. So I was in the middle of talking about the whole V1 BlueSCSI, and I didn't then talk about the V2. So then the V2 got made using these Raspberry Pi, the RP2040 or something like that. Oh, Colin is here. Hello there. Sorry I'm late. Did I miss the chickens? I haven't done the chickens yet. The poor waterlogged chickens. It's raining here terribly. And where are we? Chooks. Here we go. Let's have a quick look at the chooks. Look at the water. Poor things. It gets a bit waterlogged down there just because of the way the sort of drainage is in the place. But we've got a couple there. And as I say, they're none too pleased. I'm actually thinking about making a few changes to their area in the back here because, well, to be quite honest, I'm sick of feeding pigeons. I give food to the chickens and then pigeons eat it. And I want that to change. So I think you can see 3 chickens in there. There's one in the white coop just in the doorway trying to stay dry. That's the blind one. Okay, hello chickens, goodbye chickens. You'd think they go back in the coop, wouldn't you? Some do, some don't. Some of them have better kind of weather sense than others. I guess probably some of them don't like the rain more than others. I think that's probably the main thing. Some of them, they just come out and they're like, it's raining, big deal. What's the problem? So anyhow, the BlueSCSI, which originally ran on the Blue Pill, which was a development board, an Arduino development board, it then got modified to work on an RP2040 chip, which is this little chip here on the Raspberry Pi. And then advancement after advancement after advancement, they then went in and made it so you can actually use it with the Wi-Fi. And of course, this is so much faster than before. I mean, it's a much more complex device than the original version 1 BlueSCSI, but it works. There's some fantastic things it does. It's much faster and much more stable and all that sort of stuff. And there's all sorts of extra features here which I've never even bothered to investigate. Now, this went through a number of revisions, and this is the revision that I ended up printing out a bunch of PCBs for. And it has gone past this. So I'm actually working here on an old board. It still works the same as the new boards, and they might have added some functionality to the new ones, but this was the one that was very unpopular, and it was unpopular because it's a 4-layer board, which meant that it cost more to produce. I mean, from my perspective, when I go in and I get these PCBs done myself and then I buy all the components myself, I manage to get the per unit cost right down. So for me, I'm not particularly fussed about having to get a 4-layer board. It's still quite cost effective for me. And I love this particular design. This is the V2 2023-09E. Now, the problem with this one is the mounting holes are in a different position to the later ones, so any mounting brackets I make for this won't work on the newer ones. There is an adapter you can get, but, you know, I mean, but what I love about this one, there are a few things I love about this one. First of all, it has a USB-C connector on the board here. See, there's a USB, a mini USB there, or is it called micro USB there, on the Raspberry Pi. And you can just use that one. But this one has a USB-C connector on the board, so you can use that or that. And this is handy if you want everything facing out one direction of the board. Because you've got USB-C there, you've got your SD card, mini SD, micro SD, bigger SD there, and then this little thing here, and I can't remember what it's called. QWICK. QWIK. So that's a little connector there that does things. So I like the fact that this has all the things facing out one side. I also like the fact that this one has the choice of a small SD card slot or a bigger SD card slot. You can't put two in there at the same time. That won't work. But I like using the little SD cards, so I don't even put a thingy, whatever you call them, slot thingy. I don't even put one on there. So they're not cocks. I83036, that is a male chicken. They are female chickens. They are hens. You don't get many eggs from cocks. So it's so funny, right? You know, like if I can go back to the very first time I ever heard the term SCSI. We're going back a long way here. I can tell you when it was. It was 1980. It was either late 88 or early 89. I'm going to say probably early 89. And at that stage, I was still mainly using Apple IIs. I really hadn't gone into the Mac world that much. I had used a Mac, did not own a Mac. And I was primarily working with Apple IIes at that time. I was actually in a job where I was working with Apple IIes. And I remember someone was having a problem with a computer, a Mac computer. There was the guy there, and his son had come into the workplace, and they were talking computers, and they were saying they were having problems. And I remember him saying, apparently there's a thing called SCSI, and there's something to do with that. That was the first time I'd ever heard the term SCSI. And then, of course, once I owned a Mac, then you become very familiar with it. But I distinctly remember the very first time I heard that, and I had no idea how it was spelled. Hello. I've got a raven visiting. Came and visited me yesterday. Hello there. Yeah. All right. Charlie's here. Hello there. Don't ruin my fun. Don't ruin your double entendre. All right. There we go. So I've got to get something done. So I'm pretty sure I've done all of the capacitors on this. We're now just going to move on to the resistors. So we start on here. These are 1 kilo ohm resistors. There are 19 of them in total. So I've got to grab 19 of them and then stick them onto this. So let's grab some. As much as possible, I work on one thing at a time so that I don't end up getting any of these things mixed up. These things are all too small to have anything written on them. So they are defined by where they live in my little container. And if they move, all hell breaks loose. Chaos. World in crisis. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. Oh, great. I picked up one that's only got 3 left in it. Okay, well, we'll start with that. Right, so numbers. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We'll start with those. So 11 to 19. I really need this close to me because it's my reference material, but I sort of don't have anywhere to put it. That's the raven. I don't know if you heard that, but that's the raven. That's the noise they make. Hello, raven. Now this I'm going to be doing largely with hot air, not with a soldering iron. It's just the way I like to work. Scope. Does my foot pedal work? It might work. Yay, it worked. Oh, and it's blocked as well. So let me just get that sorted. Scope camera. There we go. He's funny. He makes funny noise. There we go. Look at that. It's a little bit yellow. I think the white balance is a bit out. Shall we try and fix that? Yes, we shall. Oh, it's got auto balance on. That's meant to be off. What a pain. Macman, hello there. Darkwid, hello there. Are they? I don't know much Raven folklore. I can tell you one thing, and people are going to disagree with me on this, and I apologise in advance. I personally think that the actress they cast to play young Raven in the X-Men movies, I can't remember her name, someone will remind me, but, you know, the ones where they got to see them all as younger people, I don't think she was a good casting choice. Oh, don't you fall down. Ain't got time for that. Alright, so R11. Oh, is it these ones? Might be these. Oh, look at the corrosion we've got on here. That's what happens when you start a job and don't finish it. I think it might... No, hang on. They're 110s. No. Ah, okay, they're for later. Good. Okay, we're all good. I should... There we go. There's an R11. Look at that. So typically what I'm going to do with these... Oh, of course, the Raven. Sorry. Yes, of course, the Raven. My mistake. I should have known that. 11... Oh, fume extraction, please. It's the worst part about doing these jobs is finding everything. There we go. 12, 13, 14. There's a whole stack of them. Yeah, this crust is pretty... This flux is pretty crusty. I'm actually going to be trying a different flux today. I've just been chatting to the guys at Steri, and it's a flux that I sort of didn't use because I thought it had been superseded, but as it turns out, it's apparently quite a good flux in its own merit, so it has its own merit and all that sort of stuff. So this is version 4. So, you know, you've got, within the flux range, you've got V2. Oh, wow, I've frozen. Why am I frozen? Having all sorts of technical issues today. I mean, I think I know why I'm having these technical issues. I mean, my mouse is still being an absolute tool. I think I just have to ditch the idea of using a... Okay, let's go to that. And then back to that. There we go. There you go. I think we're all working now. Yep, I think we're all working now. Yeah, so Stiri have their V2 flux, and then they had their V3 flux, and oh, this smells nice. And then they went V4, and then they went V5. Now, what happened is they sent me V4 samples, and relatively soon after they sent me V5 samples, and I'm like, oh, okay, V5's come in. Why I don't even need to bother with V4, but this is not the case. And just in my quick little test then, that's a really nice flux. Jared Burma, hello there. Okay. I would love to know what causes the problems with my mouse. Because it's not just this mouse. Maybe I should not try another brand. I've been using Logitech. Alrighty. I think there's only 2 of them there, so, well, we'll start. These are very small components. So I will probably lose some, but that's okay. Come on. Got to have the black side up. People will laugh at me and they'll point and stare if I solder these on with the white side up. I have my hot air station set on 440 degrees Celsius, but at only half power of the air. If you push too hard with the air, with this sort of stuff, you'll just send stuff flying. Okay, where do I put the other resistor? There it is. A bit of a bend in my tweezers here, but they still function. They still meet at the end. I'm still able to hold a little tiny component like this and not embarrass myself. Okay, what have we got here? I need to buy some more Amtech flux. I have been buying ASM to this point. What do you think is currently the best? I'm making a video on this at the moment, Jack, but you can forget about the whole concept of Amtech because there's just silly stuff going on with the brand name Amtech. It's currently being made by a company called Inventec, making Amtech, and but the problem is that there are lots of companies making Amtech flux. There are companies in China making Amtech flux, it's my understanding. And so you go to buy Amtech, you don't know what you're getting. So buy Stiri. That's what you want to buy. Stiri. Now, when it comes to actually, and there are links in the description, by the way, when it comes to which flux to buy, it all depends on what you are doing. For general all-purpose soldering, I would probably go with, well, there are things like REACH compliance. Now, that only affects people in Europe, but at the same time, REACH compliant products are generally better for the environment. So even though you might be able to buy non-REACH compliant products, you then might say, well, you know what, I want to use a flux that's better for the environment. I still use ASM. One of the main reasons I use ASM is I like it. I like its characteristics. It performs well for me for the sort of soldering I'm doing, the sort of hand soldering I'm doing with surface mount, hot air, soldering iron, tracer repairs, that sort of stuff. It works really well for me for that. So I like ASM for that reason. I'd find it a very nice, good performing flux. It's also inexpensive. So it's a very competitively priced flux, no doubt about that. But I don't believe I don't believe it's REACH compliant because it has, I think, halides or halogen or something. It's got something in it which is not allowed burning off into the atmosphere for the REACH compliance. But if in doubt, go with a Styri V4 or a Styri V5. The V4 smells a bit more than the V5. It's still a very good formula. The V5 is a very good formula. They're a good all-purpose all-rounder. If you're wanting ones that wash off nice and easily, go with the Hydra MA. That's a good flux, but it's a bit more expensive. But that one there is a water soluble, so you can, if you're getting a lot of flux on your boards, you want to clean them off, you can just clean them with a bit of distilled water. So yeah. Yes, sorry, you're excused for saying Amtech. That's fine. Isn't that interesting? Okay. I have a room in the house where the only thing wireless that works is Wi-Fi. All wireless keyboards, mice, tablets, Bluetooth, 2.4 gigahertz with a dongle are very flaky. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something Wi-Fi related. Something has happened. Some setting has changed or something. I don't know. Anyhow, I think the easiest thing to do is just go and get myself a mouse with a frickin' cable. I mean, it only has to go to there. And it'll stop me from dropping it on the floor too, because it'll just fall and hang on the cable. So I did get some clarification from the guys at Styri. There's no difference in health risk using one flux. A lot of these fluxes that are used, the risks to health are all about the same, and that is essentially you don't want to be breathing these things in for an extended period of time if you can avoid it. Definitely use fume extraction. Okay, so got to just work our way along here. I mean, it's a little bit like recapping in that regard, isn't it? Recapping's just me plucking off capacitors one at a time. And this is me just sticking bloody components on one at a time. I have to try and be interesting while I'm doing it. Okay, I'm just going to tip a few of these out onto the table. And then I can just work my way down the line. That's not the way to do it, you idiot. There we go. When I empty these components, don't you fall down. I see you trying to fall down. You can just stop that. When I tip out these components onto the desk, most of them end up landing upside down so that the white side is up and the black side is down. And then you have to flip them up, and that's always frustrating. Hello. Where'd he go? I'll hunt from him in a second. One thing I can tell you is, where did that little bloody component go? Flew off that way, so it's probably over here somewhere. Doesn't matter. This old flux that I'm using here on this board, that's just the crusty old flux that was there before, it is not very effective in this condition. Okay, I'm going to put some fresh flux on here. And then I'm just going to run over the whole lot. Okay, we've got 4 more over here. It is indeed soldering fun, Mr. Tech Gadget. Well, it is for me anyway. I realise some people would disagree with me, but I love doing this sort of stuff. I just, you know, it's a bit early now, but, you know, I love the idea of just grabbing a bottle of wine, coming down here to the workshop, having a few drinks, doing a bit of surface mount soldering. Might have a movie on, up on the screen up here. Or a TV show or something. And just do a bit of surface mount, relaxing, taking it easy. Love it. Oh, 2 fell out. I don't need to. Oh well. Actually, maybe I do need to. I haven't actually counted all of them. Alright. Working on a quesadilla. Starbuck Tech, hello there. Workshop and wine. I haven't done it in a while, have I? It's got to be time. It's got to be time. Alright, so we've got 11. That was, we did 11. There. 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17, 18, 19. And we also did 42. We've still got a bunch more. So I've got 25, 28, 29. 25, 28, 29. How's he? There's a 25. You know what I'm tempted to do with this? I'm tempted to actually try the other handle for this soldering iron. I'm using the 245 handle, but I've got a 210 handle, which allows you to use much finer tips. I don't know. Maybe I should. I do need to test it for the product review. Yeah, I'd have a quesadilla. Isn't it good? I'd love a quesadilla. Gotta love living in the US but working for a company in the UK. You must have to get up early though. Not sure I'd be a fan of that. Right, so that was 25. Now we go 28, 29. Looking. There's a 28. Look at him. Just sitting there. For him. Here you are. Suppose it doesn't really matter. I mean, the only downside is when you're wanting to catch up with friends or something like that, and they're meeting for dinner at like 7 o'clock and you're falling asleep. I suppose that's the only downside. 28, 29, that was one of them, wasn't it? 29. I'm not lying, am I? 28, 29. 28, 29. Got to call out when you see 29. Got to call out fast though. Let's turn it up that way around so all the numbers are around the right way. 20, 21. God, this thing's dirty. Looking forward to giving this a good old wash. 23, 22, 66. There we go, there's 29 right there. Didn't call out fast enough. Waking up at 7 a.m. for 2 weeks now so I can go to the gym before work. Eesh. I'd probably get up about 7. Sometimes a bit earlier. I go for a walk, I don't go to the gym. I didn't go for a walk today though because it's wet and raining and yucky. So I'm going to probably go for a walk a little bit later on today at a shopping centre. That's what my wife and I do when... I mean, we could go to a gym, but the thing is that I'm not a member of a gym. She is, but she goes to a girls' gym. And they won't let me in there. So yeah, on the days when it's like really raining, we'll either walk around a parking station, which is a bit boring, but gets the job done, or we'll go to the shopping centre and dodge all the other shoppers while we walk around. Okay, now that's 29. I think we've already done 40 something. 42, yep. Okay, 61, 65, 66. Let's just start with 61. I can't remember that many numbers in my head. I'm in a can for a little while, but then they go. It's all gone. Is 69 another one as well? It is. So we'll do those two together. People are going to start making me hungry. I did have a little bit of breakfast this morning, but not a whole lot. Looking forward to lunch, and I'm going out for Thai for dinner tonight. Looking forward to that. I'm going to get me some curry. Whoopsie. Come on. Get me some Thai curry. Yum. We actually have a Thai restaurant really, really close to us. But we're not going to that one tonight because as much as we like that one, it's very convenient, very inexpensive. It's a great place. But they don't have some of the dishes that this other place have. And we love the dishes they have at this place. Yeah, Thai's awesome. I think probably when it comes to going out, you know, sort of for dinner, eating out somewhere, you know, Thai, Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese, probably in that order. 61, 65, 61, 65. Okay, 65. I know it's around here somewhere. There's 67, 68. Ah, there's 65. Under muck. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that should be easy. I should be able to remember that without having to looking back. Got a bit of fluff with this one. Didn't put solder on it. When you get the Thai curry, how hot do you get it? I generally go with around about a medium to hot, I suppose. I mean, for a while there, when I used to go Thai really regularly, I started getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and then I just reached the point where I'm like, I know where my heat tolerance goes from an enjoyment side of things. I can eat some pretty hot food, but I don't enjoy it as much as if it's like not as hot. So I just, I know what I like. I like heat, but not too much heat. I mean, I'm very much a fan of spicy food. Like hot food. I like hot food. Spicy hot food. With chili and whatnot. But, as I say, I know my tolerances. I know what I like. I've never been a fan of that kind of big macho thing about, oh yeah, get me the hottest curry you can, you know. And that I like, I don't know, maybe when I was younger, but now I'm just at an age where I'm just like, yeah, I know what I want, thank you. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm doing these out of order now. That may cause some sort of flux in the space-time continuum. So just keep an eye out for wormholes, everyone. All right, where did we get to? Let's have a look. Excuse me. So we did 61, and then so 65, 66, there's 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. That's it. That's all of those resistors. Are we all feeling good about that? I'm feeling good about that. So now we move on to the 4.7K, 22, 23, 24, 22, 23, 24. So let's have a look and see what size we are. Okay, so these are bigger ones. 22, 23. I just found the right cord for my soldering iron. Hello, Gopherman96. So just responding to your statement there, Gopherman, about really really hot Thai food. One of the places that I go to for Thai, one of the things they actually did was they get a whole stack of chili. And they would put it in the bottom of the bowl, and then they put the curry on top. And so if you wanted it hot, you just stirred all the chili in. If you didn't want it that hot, you could just scoop it off the top. And I thought that was kind of cool. You could just, as long as you're careful, you don't just eat all the top stuff and you get to the bottom and go, "Wah!" But, we had the option to then heat it up by just sort of mixing it up a bit. Struggling to stay away or struggling to stay awake? If you're struggling to stay away, that's I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll try and be as interesting as possible to take you away from your sleep. So Starbuck Tech, Dark Winter. I can take the heat, but why? I would rather enjoy the food. And I guess the point that I would make to that is that a certain amount of that heat, to me, has a significant impact on the flavour of the food. So I do want it. But when it gets to a point where it's uncomfortable for me to eat, then I'm eating it and I'm like, I'm having to eat and then wait for the burning to go away before I can have another bite. It's like, no, that's too much. That's taking away the enjoyment of it. But I definitely feel like, when you have some of that chili there, you're getting some heat from it. As long as it's tolerable heat, it is definitely adding a lot to the flavour as well. So, hello, chicken. Got a little chicken come to say hello to me today. Okay. What am I doing? Oh, I've got to grab some capacitors. Resistors. These are 4.7K, and there are 6 of these, and I've got one here that's already open, so I'll grab that, finish it off, and then I'll grab another packet. So these are a little bit bigger than the last ones I was working with. I haven't made any note of what these sizes are, but, you know, someone there might know them well enough to recognise them. And we are talking about 22, 23, 24. So we'll at least start with those. We've got 23 there, we've got 22 there. And of course, Indian food is another one that has heat, and that has often different kinds of heat. Sometimes you can just have a very strong chili heat, and then other times you might have more of a pepper heat. And the pepper heat sort of tends to creep up on you a little bit. Soldering on, I want the bloody hot air station, you idiot. Oops. But I eat a lot of Indian food as well. I live in an area with a very large Indian population, so we have lots and lots and lots and lots of Indian restaurants around here. And one in particular that's near us, and it's Indo-Lankan, so it's sort of Indian and Sri Lankan food. And that place is hot. And their food just standard, everything is hot. Struggling to stop thinking and go to bed. Yeah, here. I have methods of going to sleep when I'm like that. I definitely have. I have ways. I'm very good at sleep. I should just mention that. Some people aren't, but I'm really good at it. But I have little processes, 24 and 26, that I go through. Really important with this BlueSCSI to look at these little lines here, because I've made a mistake with these ones. These little lines indicate that the component is supposed to go across that way. And of course, with this, you could easily put the component the other way, but it's this way around. And so it's very important to look at those little lines to make sure you do get the components right. These ones here that have got a bit of corrosion on them, give them a bit of a rub, make sure that they're taking solder. Sichuan place where the numbing heat from the peppercorns really crept up on me in a surprising way. Delicious though. Have you ever had a meal with a screen blasting? A screen blasting you with blue light certainly won't help. No, this is very true. This is very true. Having said that, I do fall asleep to blue light all the time. But as I said, I'm very good at sleep. So when all the people always say, you know, don't do this before sleep, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And I say, yeah, I get that. That's advice for people who have trouble sleeping. But for me, I just sleep. Yeah, I tell you one of the hot flavors that I love, which is another one of these ones that tends to creep up on you a bit, is dried chilies, whole dried chilies. I've had some dishes where they're cooked with whole dried chilies, and they just get chucked in there, you know, into the sauce or the, you know, whatever, you know, it is, and they provide this sort of, this lovely flavor. You know, the dried chili is a beautiful flavor. But then it has this heat that kind of creeps up on you as you're eating. I actually have a whole bunch of dried chilies because I've got a recipe that I want to try with them. 24, 26, 41 and 56. Can we all remember that? 41 and 56. 41, 56. It does get easier to do this as you go because there are fewer available spots. So there's a 41. David Russian, hello there. Rain and more rain for us here in the Greater Sydney area. Indeed, it is awful. As I will just show here very quickly if my mouse decides to work. This is my backyard where my chickens are. This is my backyard where my chickens are. I said this, there we go. And as you can see, there's a little bit of water in there. A bit of water in the backyard. And chicken wandering around going... I mean, they do actually quite like it often when it's wet because the water sometimes brings critters up. So if there are critters in the dirt and they get wet, the critters start crawling up to the surface, and so they go around plucking them off. Is this going to work? Hey, the foot switch worked. But yeah, this is pretty miserable weather today. We're expecting, I don't know, I think, what did they say, something like 80 mils today, something like that, and probably about 20 mils tomorrow. So yeah, a lot of rain. I thought you would be particular about labels up the right way. It's a very astute assumption, but strangely enough, no. I put components around, even when I'm doing like rows of old-fashioned resistors, I don't worry about lining up all the things. Isn't it weird? I mean, they've got to be... I can't be putting them on upside down. I won't have that. I won't be putting a component down with the white side up. But I will regularly just put these around so they're not matching around the same way. I have, in my life, had obsessive-compulsive disorder when I was younger. And at that time, it would be a very different story. I would not be able to do it, but I did grow out of my OCD. To any young people who do have OCD, there's a little bit of hope for you. I grew out of my OCD, and so now I'm kind of okay with it. But when I did have OCD, it was a very, very different story. And I can watch stuff and I can sort of see why people get OCD from that sort of thing, but, the OCD gets worse the older you get. That's terrible. I mean, I used to have this routine. This is when I was very young, but I used to have this routine when I was going to bed, where I just have to, switch the light off like about 15 times before I go to bed. Sometimes you switch it off and then you have to get up again and switch it on, then off, and then on, then off, and then on, then off, and then off. And then if there's a cupboard door is open, you'd have to open and close it 3 or 4 times. It's bizarre. It's so compulsive. If you ever watch The Aviator with what's his name, DiCaprio playing the part of, and I've forgotten his name. I used to know it so well. I've read so much stuff on him, but I can't remember his name. Someone else I'm sure will remember. When you watch that stuff and you watch that compulsion, and there's a scene in it where DiCaprio is saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and he is angry at himself that he's having to do it. I mean, he's actually putting his hand over his mouth trying to stop. Howard Hughes, thank you very much. Sean is here. Hello, Sean. We're just talking about Howard Hughes here for a minute. Well, actually, we're talking about OCD, but Howard Hughes is a very famous OCD sufferer. So, but anyhow, in that movie, when you're watching DiCaprio dealing with his OCD and his knowing how it sounds, how it looks, but incapable of stopping, that's the kind of feeling that you have with OCD, which is it's bizarre. You might just want to go to sleep, but you're finding yourself drawn into these compulsions that are having to do over and over again before you can then sort of walk away and leave them. Has anyone seen my shirt? Sorry. I don't think anyone's commented on my shirt. If they have, I missed it. My mouse is gone again. Oh, God. It doesn't just affect the movement, it affects the click as well. Me exit cookies. I just love this shirt. I saw this, as soon as I saw this shirt, I was like, I have got to have this. It cracks me up. I love it. It makes me laugh. So, this is a shirt by QWERTY, QWERTEE. There is a link in the description. There is a discount code in the description if you want to buy this shirt or any of their other cool shirts. But this is a shirt that I got from them just recently, and it just cracks me up. I absolutely love it. I've got a whole bunch of new shirts that I'll be wearing one at a time in my live streams and videos and stuff like that, so you can look out for them. But Oh man, this mouse is driving me bananas. There we go. You cannot tell me what to do. You're not one of my cats. That's funny. All right, let's continue sticking some resistors. We're doing resistors at this stage, and I can't lose my spot. Okay, we just did R41. So we're building a BlueSCSI here, lots of surface mount components to go on there. A lot of people avoid this step. They actually get all of these components stuck on before they buy them. But no, I'm not going to do that, because I love this part way too much. Now we're looking for R56. R56, R58, 59. R56, well, these 20 and 21, where do they come from? R50, it's got to be here. There it is. R56, right there. I don't know if anyone's seen Sean's latest video. I think this is the latest one, the one working on the Apple Lisa. And I have to confess, there was something that I saw in that video that I've never seen before. I have a Lisa here at the moment. It's not mine. I need to fix it and get it back to the owner. I'm probably going to do the same thing that Sean did and replace the power supply with that new old replacement type thing, because this one does have a problem with its power supply. But I had never ever seen, and isn't this funny? I had never seen a Lisa used to do something practical like print on a dot matrix printer. So having that Lisa there, doing all the drawing stuff there, and then doing the print, I was just like, wow, the Lisa can actually be used to do something useful. And then, of course, when he got it on the internet, that was baffling for me. That just seemed like pseudoscience. That was mysticism. I refuse to accept it even happened. I think there was a little man inside the box pushing buttons. Yeah, you should definitely write software for it in Pascal. A Blue IDE version. Hello, Mike. There is a problem with the Blue IDE, and that is that there are so many solid-state IDE things out there these days. It's just no one's going to be building anything custom like that. They're just pumping that stuff out from China really, really cheap. Now, what did I... this is another thing I wanted to mention after watching Sean's video. Sean was basically commenting in it how... the Lisa was really very advanced for its time, and I mean, it had a spreadsheet and all this sort of stuff you could do. And this way predated Microsoft Excel, and it was back in the days when DOS was all still text-based, predates Windows, all that sort of stuff, which is all very, very true. But one of the things we have to remember about Apple is that Apple kind of accidentally entered the business market with the Apple IIes. When they made the Apple IIes, okay, it was a good computer and all that, but the thing that made the Apple IIe a desirable product was what they referred to as a killer app, and that was VisiCalc, the very first spreadsheet ever invented. And so Apple had a lot of experience with computers being used in a business setting, because there were a lot of people that were initially using big old mainframes. Then all of a sudden they started putting Apple IIs on their desk to running VisiCalc, and they could do this stuff themselves without having to rely on the company's big mainframe computer. And so, yeah, Apple took obviously all of the knowledge they had acquired during that era in the 70s with the Apple IIe, and applied it to the Lisa, and then of course to the Mac as well. Yeah. I am definitely going to. I mean, I was when Sean mentioned that he was actually thinking about writing some software for the Lisa in one of the chats that we have. I was immediately like, "Oh, that's such a cool idea! I want to do that as well." And then I started thinking about it a little bit longer, and I thought, "No, I don't. No, I really don't." While I like the idea of the challenge, it sounds to me like a rabbit hole that would just suck way too much of my time. Yeah, I mean, I do. I really do want to. But unfortunately, I've already got too much on my plate. I don't need any more projects. I really don't need any more projects. Oh, dear. Oh, what's that from, Francois? I recognise that quote, but I can't recognise where it's from. Right, we've done those resistors. We've still got more to go, though. These are 110 ohm. Now, these are a whole bunch of them, but thankfully they're all kind of around the same position. So let me just put these old ones back. That will be here. The main thing I noticed more than anything with the video that Sean did of the Lisa. Now, I need to say I have spent quite a lot of quality time using a Lisa, but I just essentially just experiencing the operating system. I didn't really do anything practical or functional with it. But the thing that gets me the most, and this is something where they really did make improvements between the Lisa and the Macintosh, was the screen refresh. You know, anytime you launch anything, anytime the screen redraws, you can watch it go brrr, like that. It is so slow. And even with the Macintosh, which came out as a cheaper product, they got that much better. Much better. The redraw was so much faster on it. So they did learn from their mistakes and make sure that it was a much better experience on the original Macintosh. Even, this is the thing that got me, when I very first went to use the Lisa, it has a whole bunch of apps on it, but one of the things it has on it is a clock. And you can just launch the clock as you would, you know, on the Mac. The original Mac had a clock on it as well. And you would double click on the clock and you could just about go and make a cup of tea while you waited for it to launch. That's an exaggeration. But let's face it, how much code is needed for a clock? You would double click on the clock and you would just sit there and you'd wait and you'd wait and you'd wait, and then boom, the clock comes up eventually. And you think, come on. You know, it should never have really been released like that. I mean, I think there's a big old story with the Lisa that I think that they were under some pressure to release it. All right, so with this one here, we have a total of 18. And if I remember rightly, those 18 are all along here. So there's 9, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. Yep, there's 9 along here. And then there's 9 along there. So these are all doing something. These are, I think, doing the same job as the resistor nets for the SCSI termination, I think, but I could be wrong. It's because they did everything in Pascal. Yeah. You know, my friend Madeline had said that in the early days of developing for the Mac, the software development kit for the Macintosh was on the Lisa. So you had to buy a Lisa if you wanted to write software for the Mac. Now, that's what she's always said. I have no reason to doubt her, but that was what she was saying in the early days. Right, let's get some solder on these things. Whoops. Oh, jeez, I'm getting a few fumes here. I need to get some things out of the way here so I can bring my fume extractor a little closer to what I'm working on. I've got a little pile of stuff happening here on the desk. Off, away, be gone. Okay, so because this has ended up with a little bit of corrosion because it's been sitting here on the desk when it should have actually not been sitting on the desk, and it's had this flux on it which I haven't cleaned off, which means it's trapped some moisture in there, and we're ending up with a little bit of corrosion and all that sort of stuff, all the bad things, the things you're not supposed to do. It's a bit bad, so just having to clean it up a little bit. I'll be able to do a better job. Proper job. I'm going to do a proper job. No. You know, I mean, I realise people of a certain vintage will know this, but younger people today will not know about the fact that Apple used to be an underdog. I mean, today, they're like the big boss. But there was a long time there where Apple was the underdog. And I remember that time very, very well. Very well. I hate it when you have an app on your phone or your watch or something like that and you enable notifications. And what you're enabling is, like, say, for instance, if we're talking about Uber, I'm enabling notifications. I want to know if there's an Uber out the front waiting for me right now. But then instead what you get are ads constantly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that makes me unhappy. Forty-year-olds don't know that. Oh, Jay has terrible things to say about younger people. Dana is here. Hello there, Dana. You've been getting into a bit of the FNT? You know, I think of all of the skills that I learned growing up that were just kind of part and parcel. These were things like changing a tyre, changing the brakes on your car, doing an oil change, replacing the oil filter, replacing the air filter, you know, just sort of like, just very normal. I mean, there was just like everyone learned how to do them. And then you sort of see some people today that are on the side of the road with a flat tyre and have absolutely no idea what to do about it. It's a shame. I think any skill is a good thing. I mean, you know, you learn how to do something, you lock that away in your little brain, and it's stored away for next time. Now, I'm making sure that I do this with just a few of them up the wrong way, just to upset all the OCD people. For example, I'll give you an example of some skills. I know how to use a sewing machine quite proficiently. Because why not? I think it's a really, really handy tool to be able to use, you know, for obviously for clothing repair, but you can actually use a sewing machine for lots of other things. You know, you want to build yourself a little cloth bag or something like that, I don't know, whatever. Repair a lounge, you know, cushions on a lounge or something like that, you know. I just think skills, you know, just absorb as many of them as you can. Just suck them all in and stick them in the brain pan, and they're there for a rainy day. Yeah, got some goop here. Stuck on my tweezers. Where's that from? I'm going to try and do something about that. Burn it away. Sequoia. Okay. The old Sequoia happening. It's the Mac OS Sequoia. I have that running on a few of my machines. I think I'm still on a fairly old one here. I think I'm on Ventura on this one. No, not Ventura, sorry. Ventura. Yeah, this is Ventura. Yeah. So this is the one that I'm streaming on here is Ventura, but I use Sequoia on my day-to-day. And I think I use Sequoia on my laptop as well. Sewing machines are one of the few machines that really scare me. I always think I'm going to run that needle right through my finger. Yeah, there's pretty good protection on them. I mean, with fat fingers like mine, it's just not going to happen. There's just no way. I thought Ventura was one of the ones that everyone liked. I guess I'm wrong. I thought everyone was like, yeah, Ventura is a nice stable operating system. Go with that one. To be honest, I think one of the reasons why I went for it, I wanted an older operating system on this. I don't think it was the easiest one to get hold of. I'm not sure. I can't remember. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, I can even count. 8 resistors. I keep wanting to say capacitors. I'm so used to using capacitors that when I start using resistors, my brain just melts down. I have a video that I need to make. I just haven't made it because I need to clean some space on the desk to do it, and I haven't done that yet. I might try and do that a little later today. I need to do a bit of cleaning, putting things away and whatnot. But anywho, the lovely gentleman at Juicy Crumb. Now, many of you are probably aware of Juicy Crumb. They've come up with these custom boards that allow you to do some pretty cool things. And you know, Sean from Action Retro, he used them where I think he turned a G4 iMac into an Apple Silicon using one of their adapters. I'm pretty sure Sean did that. I think it might have even ended up selling it, but I could be wrong. So anyhow, that's made by the guys at Juicy Crumb. Juicy Crumb organisation down here. Lovely guys. I've only met 2 of them, I think. I don't think I've met all 3. So I've met Adrian and I've met Tim, but I haven't met the third guy, and I can't remember his name, that make up Juicy Crumb. And I'm just going to put some flux on here. Anywho, a while ago, they sent me a prototype of a thing called a dock light. It's designed for a 2011 27-inch iMac, I think it was 2011, that allows you to turn that iMac into an external display. Quite a nice external display. And yes, it's very tedious, Eric. I do apologise. It's me doing it, so it's all right. And anyhow, I've had this prototype running for ages and ages, and then the other day they sent me the final product. So they said, you know, whip the prototype out, send the prototype back to us and stick the final in. So I'll be doing a video on that soon where I get to put the final one in, because the prototype was good, but they had a couple of components they put on there that they then refined for the later one. So for instance, my prototype, every now and again, just out of nowhere, it just sometimes the audio just starts going bup, 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 bup. And I reported it to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's because of so and so. That's something we fixed for the final." Paul is here. Hello, Paul. Monterey was pretty solid. Big Sur was shite, but they all suck compared to 10.4. The one thing I will say though, my favourite Apple feature is Quick Look, and they didn't have that in 10.4. So I'm just saying. Yep, it's definitely resistors. I'm not really a fan of the new interface in Tahoe so far. Don't tell me that. How many times does an SMD go flying under the airflow? Well, only once so far. That was the very first one I did, and I haven't done it since. I have the airflow a bit lower than usual. I have the temp up high, but I have the airflow pretty low. And yeah, so apart from that very first one that I did, where I sent it flying, it hasn't happened since. All right, now we've got to move on to some more resistors. So we've just done those 110s. Now we've got 20 and 21. I've seen those on the board. Where are they? There we are. They're down here in the bottom left. R20 and R21. And so we've only got two of these ones. So we're all good. Jabba jaws. There we go. Right, so let's get some solder onto these pads. You see, Dark Winter, what you just described there for me is like absolutely not what I want. For me, it just takes all the fun out of it if you get someone else to stick all these components on for you. This is one of my favourite things to do. So, admittedly, it's a lot easier to do if you're working with a board that hasn't got all this corrosion, but that's my fault. I can blame no one for that. It's because I started working on this one and then it just got lost in the desk. Oh, I didn't put the old resistors back. Let me just put these back before I forget where they go. A lot of resistors in these. A lot of different types of resistors in these. So this one, there's only two of these. So I'll just whip these out. One. But yeah, putting these together is just so much fun for me. I love doing this. It's very calming for me. So I'm not going to let some machine have all the fun. Flip him over. Flip him over, back side up. Come on, there you go. Okay, 20 and 21 are done. Do you get your resistors as sample books? Not for this. I have sample books of resistors, and yes, I buy them, and they are awesome. I recommend to anyone out there that's doing any of this stuff, go and buy sample books of resistors, because it's a way of getting a fairly, most of the time they'll usually give you, I don't know, 50 at least of each one. And then you, oh, what's that? What is, that's in the wrong place, I think. Something's in the wrong place. They're capacitors. Why are they there? Uh-oh. This must have fallen down at some stage and things got moved. That's right. That's not. I'll just test these to see which ones they are. But I think they've fallen out of the one behind it. But I'll check that. Boop. So I think these are going to be 4.7 microfarad, but I'll just check them. You've got to get the right sorts of tweezers. That's what I would say about doing this sort of stuff. I don't know what tweezers you're using. You might be using the right sort of tweezers, but I buy these Hacko tweezers, these ultra fine Hacko tweezers, and they are the binners. I would not attempt to do this without them. I don't have a normal pair of tweezers here, but if I had one, I would show you the difference between them in terms of how precise they are. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to do a quick capacitance test here. Capacitance. So I'm just going to get my little leads here and see if I can get a test without sending the component flying. And I'm thinking these are probably 4.7. Let's see if I stab through the top here. That might work. It says 3.8. Yeah, 3.8. Let's try another one. .9, 3.8. Now I'm going to try with a different multimeter. The main thing with building any kits is it's just so much easier if someone has put all of the components together for you. If you have to go and buy all the components separately, that's a real pain in the backside. 4.3. Okay, so these are definitely, I'm almost certain, just based on what I'm seeing here, that these are the 4.7 microfarad, because there's nothing else that comes close to that. So yes, this container must have been dropped at some stage, and some of these things have gone for a jump. All right. But I don't think it's anything really bad has happened, so we can feel happy with that. Right, so here we are with our great big string of resistors was here. There it is. And these are... Oh, okay. This is 470 ohms. There's only one of them. I'll just check and see that I've got the right ones here. How the hell do you measure something this small? This is where the tweezers would work really well if they were charged, but they're not. Sorry, I'm not looking at the chat at the moment. I will have a look in just a moment, but I am trying very hard to do very, very tricky things here. .1 ohm? Are you serious? 0.1 ohms. All right, where do the 0.1 ohms go? They're up here. So where are all my 470s? Now I have some genuine concerns about whether I've been putting the right components on. These ones I'm fairly confident about. I don't like the fact that this is just like a great big curly bit. Hello, hardware hacker. Alright, gonna just try this with my pointy. Let's get some resistance test here. If these are indeed 0.1, now this says 0.47. Why are you messing with me like this? Okay, these are the right ones. They are the 470 ohm. So we're good. It's okay. I just, for whatever reason, I was getting the wrong reading from my Hacko. Oh, sorry, not Hacko, my Fluke. So weird. Only need one after all that. Pop him out. Try not to lose him. And put this back in the container. Fatty. Fatty. Do. Remember, just call out if you see R30. Just call out, how's he? There it is. Oh, you like my shirt? Someone's commenting. Someone's singing the classic song by Eiffel 65. I'm blue, abadi, 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 abadi. Oh, I could sing that for hours. Only one song out of those guys, as far as I know. Such a shame. Untapped talent. At least we got Blue, eh? I've got to go, but I'll watch this in full later. Fair enough. I hope it's interesting enough for you. I'm blue, abadi, 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 abadi. Right, let's move on to the next one. There was only one of those, and there's only one of these ones as well. This is R58, and it's a 150 ohm. I really need to trim these up. They're too long. R58. There we go. So these resistors, interestingly enough, with these particular resistors, you can technically just not install them. The purpose of these is for when you're using the LED activity light. Different LEDs have different properties about them, and you may actually need to run different size resistors for different size LEDs. And this allows you to just have these resistors all ready to go, so that all you have to do is put a jumper on whichever specific resistor you want, which gives you the best light output from your activity light. It's quite clever, quite nifty. Probably unnecessary, but quite nifty. So you can see you got your little jumper 1 and jumper 2 here. There. JP1, JP2, and then you can just put a jumper over. You don't do both. You can jumper over 1 or 2, and that'll run the output LED through one of these resistors. Oh, look, seriously, Paul, have I said hello to Acetane 20 yet? If not, hello. The video clip for that Eiffel 65 song, for me, is what makes it. It's hilarious. The CGI is just... I mean, the CGI looks to me like someone was trying to do a face, and they made such a mess of it, they said, okay, we'll make it an alien instead. That's what it looked like to me. It was just so bad. And I think there's a whole lot of non-actors in that, namely the members of the band, non-actors showing just how bad their acting is when they're reacting to things that weren't there. So like CG elements that were put in later on. So there's a lot of that sort of, of people saying, hey, look surprised, because like we're going to add this in post. Okay, R59. So this is the last resistor. Joyous time, people, joyous time. We should probably have a celebration after this. We'll have a little resistor celebration and have a dance. I bought a bunch of chicken yesterday. A lot of chicken. So I went to this place, and they sell bulk quantities of things. Like they sell them for, takeaway food shops and stuff like that. And I bought this great big bag of like pre-cooked fried chicken pieces that you would use if you were going to make what we in Australia would call a chicken burger, but I believe Americans call it a chicken sandwich. And I tried it. It was beautiful. It's really nice. So I'll be making chicken burgers at home a lot. Just take the thing out of the freezer. Better if it's defrosted a little, but if even still, you can still make it work. Drop the thing in the fryer for a bit, in the deep fryer. Out comes this beautiful crumbs chicken piece. Stick it between 2 burger buns. Add some lettuce. Add some mayonnaise and anything else you want there. I add a little bit of chili sauce to it as well. Scrumptious. Alright, so that's it for the resistors. I can put this one back. One of the things I do like about resistors, as opposed to capacitors, is they have the measurements written on them. I don't know why they can put tiny weeny little writing on resistors, but they can't, for some reason, put tiny weeny little writing on capacitors. Just makes no sense to me. Who's responsible? Okay, we've got a couple of fuses we've got to put on now. Never refuse the fuse. There's a F3 and what is it? F2, I assume. F2 and F3. There we go. I have a blue house with a blue window. Bit of auto-tune action going on there, eh? Not me. I don't need the auto-tune. Not with my fantastic singing voice. Yeah, it's fused too. Pip, Popeyes and KFC. Oh, I mean, again, in Australia, what we call them are chicken hamburgers. So KFC have chicken hamburgers here. I like the meat that they put in the KFC chicken burgers here. I like the flavour of the meat and all that sort of stuff. But they've just been doing weird things. They've been putting weird sauce. Now, their mayonnaise is disgusting at KFC. A lot of the time I end up just ordering a chicken burger from them and tell them to leave the mayonnaise and the lettuce off for that matter. And I take it home and I put my own mayonnaise and lettuce on because their mayonnaise is disgusting. I don't know what it is, but it's not mayonnaise. For me, it's got to be a whole egg mayonnaise. It's got to. So I've been using Styri V4 flux for this the whole way, and it's good. It's maybe a little bit darker in colour than I would normally like. Whoopsie. I would generally prefer... Oh, piss off. Oh, jeez. This fuse is being very, very stubborn. Oh, I love mayonnaise on burgers. I mean, I like barbecue sauce and tomato sauce and all that sort of stuff as well, but I love mayonnaise. I mean, I will quite happily put like some barbecue sauce on and put some mayonnaise as well. Now, mayonnaise goes beautifully with chicken, especially with mustard. Particular type of mustard, not American mustard. That stuff's way too sweet. But like a French mustard or something like that, I mix that in with a bit of mayonnaise, have that with chicken. Absolutely beautiful. Needs to bring back their light mayo. Yeah, see, nothing light. I mean, I won't... When it comes to mayonnaise, for me, it's got to be a full fat, full, whole egg mayonnaise. So, yeah, you did, Paul. Anyhow, well, 2's not too bad for an assembly to have only 2 fly off. That's all right. I'm fine with that. All right, so that's a fuse. Voltage regulator. Gotta love a good voltage regulator. I can build one of these in my spare time in usually about an hour. Obviously, it takes me a little bit long when I'm doing live streams because I'm doing all this gas bagging and stuff. But yeah, usually takes me about an hour to build one of these. So if I put on a movie while I'm doing it, I can usually build 2 of them during the movie. Blue cheese or ranch sauce with chicken wings. Yeah, that'd be nice. But they're all sort of they're all similarly like a mayonnaise-based type sauce. Both ranch and blue cheese sauce, they're bases of mayonnaise type thing. Well, they certainly are here. Same with aioli. Aiolis, I love that too. I like to make my own because I find some places when they make aioli, they just go a little bit heavy on the garlic. So I like to be able to choose my own. So you get that bit of mayo, add a little bit of garlic, add a little bit of lemon juice, maybe a little bit of lemon zest. Get that lovely flavour happening. I love condiments, basically. I'm just going to go out and say it. But I definitely think that mayonnaise is one of those things that goes really, really well with chicken. And I'm a huge barbecue sauce fan. Here in Australia specifically, there's one brand of barbecue sauce called ETA, E-T-A, ETA barbecue sauce. I love that one. That's pretty much all I have. I do sometimes have a smoky barbecue sauce if I'm doing some ribs. I like a smoky barbecue sauce with that, but the ETA barbecue sauce is not particularly smoky. Oh, come on, it's still so early, Jay. What's this all about? This is coming from someone that used to send me text messages like 4 in the morning. What's all that about? Good night, sir. Were you a fan of Rage back in the day? Yeah, I mean, Rage is still going, but, you know. But yeah, I mean, I used to stay up and watch Rage when I was a younger man, when I wore a younger man's clothes. Okay, we've got a bunch of 20-pin transceivers. We need 4 of them. Now we get into the fun stuff to solder. I enjoy this stuff. Things with lots of pins. So we're looking at, I dare say, what is it? U4569. 5, yeah. Are they labelled? I can't see a label. But anyhow, we know it's these ones. One more, come on. There we go. Hello, chicken's back. Jeff is here. Hello there, Jeff. Finally got your first BlueSCSI. Since I finally have one of the old Macs. Oh, that's right, because you got hold of a bunch of old Macs recently, didn't you? What were they? You've got a Classic. I know you've definitely got a Classic, or was it a Classic 2? And there was another one you got as well. Please refresh my memory. But yeah, I mean, the old BlueSCSI and those are fantastic. So, did you buy it all fully assembled, Jeff? I'm guessing that it's certainly the easiest option. Only idiots like me go in and build them from scratch. Classic plus Performance 637, PowerBook 520. 520 is a nice one. Is it a 520 this C, the one with colour, or is it a black and white? No C. Yeah, fair enough. In actual fact, the sort of bigger brother of that one, the 540C, is easily one of my favourite early Mac laptops. I love the 540C. I love the little 640 by 480 display. I love the colour. I love the little 68040 CPU. Great Mac, really good. But so the Performer, why does message center chat when I hit delete? That's a good question. Oh, I see. Mobile layout, yeah. So the Performer 637 CD, if my memory serves correctly, that's the same. It's the same as the LC 630. So it's in that case where the plastic is ridiculously brittle and everything breaks when you touch it. And the board slides out the back from memory. I'm pretty sure that's that one, that particular shape. And yeah, they're a good machine. I think they're from memory. They're a 68040 CPU. Yeah, plastic power button already broke off. Yep. And what were the other ones you have there? You've got. The Plus, I love the Plus. I've just got a huge soft spot for the Plus. The only downside with the Plus is no internal SCSI. But there are people who've gone out and devised things. They're probably on Joe's Computer Museum website. I think he sells this stuff, where you can add internal SCSI attached to the inside. The other thing to remember with a Mac Plus, and I'm telling you this assuming you don't know, but you may well know this, so if you already know this, just ignore it. If you're using an external BlueSCSI with the Plus, the Mac Plus comes straight off the shelf with no SCSI termination power. So it cannot power a BlueSCSI from, if you're using an external BlueSCSI on the Mac Plus, it can't power the BlueSCSI from the termination. You need to power it from the USB port, or you can make a mod to the Mac Plus logic board so that it does have termination power. I think I may even have a Mac Plus here that I can show you. Yeah, I do. Always keep a Mac Plus on hand. So this is the Mac Plus here. I'm just going to view from the top down for a sec. This is the Mac Plus board here. And up here, there's your SCSI port. I've pinched a port off this. There's your SCSI port, and then there you've got CR1. And that's where a diode was originally designed to go, but didn't end up going. I suspect they may not have put the diode on there because they didn't attach any sort of fuse to the circuit. So if someone did something a little bit funky with the SCSI termination power, they could have actually done some damage to the board. So they probably said, look, let's just not stick the diode on there so that there's no termination power. But you can actually go in and stick a diode in this CR1 position, and it will give you SCSI termination power, which will then allow you to use a BlueSCSI or a ZuluSCSI or whatever you want there for the external. So that's just to let you know that that sort of functionality was there, just never fully put in place. Let's go back to the scope here. Floppy drives are indeed fun. I did just the other week. I had to restore 8 floppy drives, 8 external 800k floppy drives for a customer. Got them all. Oh, it was no. I got 7 working. One of them was beyond help. Unfortunately, it was missing parts. But I managed to get 7 of them all working beautifully. For a Mac SE, is there any difference between using internal versus external BlueSCSI? If you're talking about speed, no. Yeah, that's a good one, Dark Winter. That's definitely it. Should DoorDash you a bottle of wine to make this stream great? There is one problem with that plan, and that is that I have to drive a little bit later on, as in drive a car. So as much as I would love to just, I mean, it's only 1 o'clock. I could, quite happily, just start now. I'd probably then be in bed by about 4 o'clock. But, you know, because I don't have the, let's say, drinking stamina that I used to have. I just get tired. I start drinking and then I just get really sleepy and then I go to bed. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the SE, yeah, the external's fine, but it's hanging out the back. If you go internally, it's hidden away. The advantage of having it externally is swapping and changing the SD card, I suppose. I think someone did actually design. I think it's the ZuluSCSI, not BlueSCSI, but someone I think designed one that plugs in at a right angle. So when you plug it in at the back, the actual circuitry part goes upwards rather than outwards, so it sort of hugs the back of the board. So that's really good for a Mac Plus or for an SE, because it's just, you know, it's tucked away, much less likely to get bumped. I'm very good at drinking, I just want to say, just to let everyone know that. I've managed to refine it as a skill over the years. By the way, I haven't said hello to Lazy White Boy. I assume that's how I meant to pronounce it. But anyhow, let's continue with this BlueSCSI, because I have just been sitting here staring at this component for who knows how long, and we need to make sure it's stuck on. These boards, they have on the screen printing, you'll see these lines on the side. There's a line that goes down there, whoops, and there's this line on the right-hand side, and this line is longer. That longer line points to where pin 1 is. So in this instance here, the longer line is down on the, up on the right here. So pin 1 needs to go there. So I've actually got this around the wrong way. So we'll just put that there. And with all components like this, I'll usually just solder 1 pin first. I'll check it, make sure it's positioned okay. Then I'll do another pin on the other side. It's one of the downsides of this particular flux. It is a little bit opaque-ish. Okay, so I'm going to just... So I've just soldered that 1 pin there. And then I'll come at it from the other side. We'll make sure we're all lined up. We're not lined up, so I can bend it a little. There we go. I can do that pin there. And now we can do the rest. This is a process called drag soldering. Sometimes frowned upon. I don't know why. I don't know why people suddenly decide that they think this is bad. But for me, it's the quickest and easiest way to solder a component like this. The only thing is you just got to watch out for bridges in case you accidentally bridge some solder between the two pins. Do people use FPGA interfaces for modding SE30s? I don't know. But I don't know that. I'm not sure. I can't say for certain. Well, actually, Dark Winter, just commenting on this. Oh, it's easier to swap the SD card out if it's external, unless you hook up a mount to put the SD slot in the second floppy cutout in the case. Yes, you certainly can do that, but you also have to remember that the SE and SE30 have a port at the back and a little mounting bracket there. Now, obviously, if you already have a network card in there or you already have a display card in there, you can't use it. But if that mounting bracket is empty, there are a bunch of 3D printable brackets where you can mount the BlueSCSI pointing out the back so that you can actually just put the card in that way. Unlike this one I made it come out the front because I didn't even bother putting a floppy drive in it because I couldn't see a need for it. I really struggled putting ICs on, getting bridges that wouldn't go away. I have a video on surface mount soldering, which obviously people may or may not have watched, and obviously decide whether you want to watch it or not. I'm not trying to force anyone to watch it, but I do offer a few tips when it comes to doing surface mount soldering. But one thing I will say is one of the most important things when you're working with surface mount is lots of good flux. It just makes the job so much easier. Solder oxidizes very, very quickly once it melts. Solder has flux in it, but it oxidizes really, really quickly once that flux is initially gone. And then, you're left with this clumpy, gooey stuff that starts building a film on the outside. And the moment it builds that film on the outside, it's really, really hard to control. And it's easy to bridge. And I can demonstrate that. I will actually demonstrate that here just to show the difference between soldering these with a decent flux and without. And I'll demonstrate that in a sec. So I'm just going to put this one on. I've already doused this one in flux, so I can't do anything about that. And of course the other thing with this is you really don't need much solder when you're working with these. In particular, a board like this has already got tinned pads, and so there's already a little bit of solder on these pads, so you only need a little teeny bit more. But if I'm just going to put one of these on, and I'm going to do it without any flux. I'm going to clean all this flux off, because I think it's really important to show the difference, and it can just make your life so much easier. Alright, so cleaned it off reasonably well, not spectacularly well, but reasonably. So once again, we've got the line going down that way here. So we need to make pin 1, which is the little dot on here. The dot needs to go to pin 1. Did I get it right for this one? I did. Yeah, cool. Alright, so this one here, I'm going to not add any flux to it. And I'm going to try and do a drag solder, and I'll show you the end result. Okay, let's just plonk him down. And I'm struggling to just get this to solder on at all. But I have done it, so that's good. And I'll just get some more. Oh, it started raining again. Pessendoon. Pessendoon. Right. Okay, so I'm going to get a bunch of solder here, and I'm going to try and drag solder one side of this, but without any flux. Now, this is working okay because I'm using I've got the flux in the solder itself. But as you can see, we're just drag soldering here. We're just bridging here. Everything is just bridging across. If I zoom in, you can just see that that is bridge central. Not good at all. If we get some flux on here, good quality flux, what am I putting on? This is V5, but I get a good quality flux on there, and make sure it's pretty thorough. You just go in and do the same thing. Whoop. No, I've got way too much solder on here, but you can already see that it's flowing a lot better. But we'll just get some of this excess off. I just went way too heavy on the solder for that bit. Boot. Boot. There we go. Still too much. There we go. And yeah, so it just makes life so much easier if you've got a good quality flux on there, and it just makes the solder just curves round beautifully. Just so it sort of stays more liquid, flows a lot better. Too easy, too easy. Oh, excuse me. A bit of a burp there. I think my body is telling me it's time for some food. I had some leftover pizza for breakfast this morning. I had pizza last night. Ate out at a nice little pizza place. And we brought the leftovers home and I popped them in the fridge. And I got up this morning and I scoffed them down for breakfast. Is it a good breakfast? No. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Okay, I'm going to change back to this other flux because it smells nicer. And of course I had it cold because I love cold pizza. And I love hot pizza as well, but the next day, a bit of cold pizza. Yummo. Anyone else here eat cold pizza straight from the fridge? Nice thing about working on a BlueSCSI is the board is so little. You can just spin it around. You want to work on it at a different angle, you just spin it around. It's not like trying to work on like a Mac 2 board or something like that, where you've just barely got room on the desk and you have to just kind of contort yourself into different positions to work on it. Grant, when it comes to fluxes, and if you're going to be doing surface mount soldering, go with a good quality tacky flux. Check out the links in the description for Styri. This is the brand that I use. Just grab a V4 or a V5. They're a nice all-round, all-purpose flux that work with leaded and lead-free solder. Really good for hand soldering. Just grab it. It will completely and totally change the sort of quality of your soldering work. This stuff too, I'll just mention this very quickly. If my foot switches still work. Yeah, look at that, it works. This is the board here with all the flux all over it. All of these fluxes have a UV tracer in them. So I've got a UV light here. When I shine it on here, you can see all that flux glowing. And that's really handy when it comes to cleaning these off. What you can do is you just get a bit of a UV light. You can pop these into a little container of isopropyl alcohol, start scrubbing them with a toothbrush, and then you can just use the UV light to see when you've got it all off. It's really good. Yeah. The thing that gets me about the Sterry stuff is the guys there at Sterry are, they're not just resting on their laurels. They are like, okay, our fluxes are fantastic. How do we make them better? It's really impressive. Right, 14-pin transceivers. That's these ones along here. So we've got 4 of those. Ah, there's exactly 4 in that little thingy there, so that's nice and easy. Easy like a Sunday morning. I do use a lot of flux, and some people will say I use too much, and that's fine. I mean, you know, I probably do. I use how much I like to use. If you're able to do this stuff and use less, then, you know, all power to you. That's great. Save a bit. But I just like to have the stuff kind of swimming in flux. I just get better results. Yeah, I would generally say, in particular if you're new to soldering, leaded is definitely a better solder to work with. It melts at a lower melting point. I find it just a little bit more predictable the way that it works. Having said that, there are some people who can't actually buy leaded solder. It's actually restricted for sale in some places in the world. So, you know, those people, they have no choice but to go with a lead-free solder. I've got a clump of something here. I don't know what it is. Something stuck to the board. There we go. Whatever it was is gone now. We can now put that back on there. Okay, let's get sticking these things down, making them permanent. That's interesting to hear. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, only 2 Rossman's worth of flux on the board. Yep. The Sterry guys did a Facebook post the other day with a link to one of my live streams, and they called me vintage. What was it? Vintage computer repair legend. Dear. That was nice of them to say that, but. Hello, chicken. Hello. She's hoping every now and again, when she comes in here, I grab a handful of chicken food, which is behind me, and just put them down on the floor for her to chomp down on. Go for Man 96. Well, that's very nice of you to say. I love doing this stuff. You know, I mean, obviously surface mount soldering. Yes, I love doing, but you know, I also love just working with the vintage Macs. It's funny because it doesn't necessarily have the same effect on everyone. I was chatting to my old boss the other day, and he's someone who I started using Macintoshes professionally when I met him. So in other words, I started working for him in 1989, I think it was, and that was the first place I worked at where I was using Macintoshes professionally. And you know, I mean, he has an interest in the vintage stuff, but he doesn't have the same, attachment to it. So for me, I can sit down in front of an old Mac and I can just play around and really enjoy it and love collecting that sort of stuff. But he doesn't have that same sort of drive. For him, I think he's just always seen them as tools. He's never really had sort of much of the attachment to them that I have that would then make you want to collect. And I happen to know that quite a lot of vintage equipment has ended up getting recycled at his hands. Now, of course, he's doing the right thing in many ways. He's making sure this stuff gets disposed of correctly. He's not just sticking it in a tipper somewhere. But nonetheless, you sort of think, oh, what about those collectors? What about those collectors? I'm done once I get the classic attached to my Apple Pi over the network. Too many great games. Yeah. Years ago, this is a very long time ago, I'm going to say probably during the 90s, probably early 90s, around then, I had a Mac Plus, I think. I'd managed to get a couple of Mac Pluses really cheap. I think I got them as hand-me-downs from someone who'd upgraded, and so they had these Mac Pluses, and I think they literally just gave them to me. And so I set up these Mac Pluses at home, and I had one in my bedroom, and I got hold of a box of floppy disks. I think it was maybe 10 or 20 disks or something. And they're all 800K discs, and every single one on them had a bunch of shareware games. And those shareware games were probably only 20, 30K each, something like that. They were all designed specifically for the black and white screen, the 9-inch black and white screen of the Mac, the original Mac, the 512K, the Mac Plus, the SE, SE30. They were designed to work in that space. So they're all designed to work in black and white. They're all designed to work in that space, and there are a whole variety of different games there, just heaps and heaps. And as I say, each floppy disk had probably like 10, 20 games on it, and then there are a whole stack of these disks. So they had all these games, and I just remember getting hold of that. And I think I don't even remember where I got it from, but I just had this huge collection of like shareware games for the Mac. And, mate, hours of fun. Still, having said that, if I am using an old Mac like that, two of the games that I really like playing on it and gobble up massive amounts of time, these are games that work in colour as well, but work on the black and white screen. Number one is the original Sid Meier's Civilization. That will work on a Mac Plus in black and white. And, of course, you can lose hours playing that. You can lose days playing that, let's be honest. And then another one was one called Warlords. And that was one, I bought that one. Actually, I bought all of these old games back in the day. And that was another turn-based strategy game, which worked quite well on those original Mac Plus screens. So, yeah, I mean, there are a whole bunch of games that you could just sit there and you lose hours or days on, even on an old Mac like that. Oh, the old SimCity. Yep. As Jeff mentioned there, I mean, Lode Runner, yeah, is another classic. Yeah, I mean, SimCity is another one where you can just gobble up hours or days when you go in and get everything set up right. 75 SE30 reloads. You're mad, Will. I mean that in the nicest possible way, but crikey. Okay, now we've got a little inverter-oony thing here. We go in U8. This is a nice big chunky package. Nice far away, nice, well spaced out pins here. So this one should be nice and easy. What is that? What is that stuck on my board? some sort of gunk. Chantal out. Another thing I should mention about these Sterifluxes, they come in these amber packages. If you are someone who doesn't do a lot of soldering and so therefore doesn't get through that much flux, this amber here actually blocks out UV light, or blocks out a lot of UV light, not all of it, but a lot of UV light, which means that these will have a much better shelf life if you're storing them somewhere where it's like, oh no, I've run out of gas. So that's just something to keep in mind, that if you are only an occasional solderer, you buy these and they will last longer in the tube, because these do, they do wear out. I mean, I've used plenty of fluxes that have been well past their use-by date and they're still quite effective, but they do have a use-by date. That is, so I assume all of these reloadeds that you have done, they've just all been ones that were battery bombed. It just gives you an idea of just how many battery bombed units there are out there. It's a bit frightening, isn't it? I don't think I've got any more gas canisters here, so I'm going to just have to freeze while I'm down here. It's no good. Is there any left in that? God, that feels completely empty. Pooh. Pooh. I'm going to be cold now. Have to heat myself up with my hot air station. Another great thing about using flux when you're doing soldering like this, as you work on it, the board just gradually gets uglier and uglier looking as you start loading it up with flux. And then you put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and out it comes and it looks brand new. I love it. It's nice. It's nice. It's good. I like it. I can just go to town with the amount of solder on this, because there's no way it's going to bridge, because these pins are so far apart. I've got a 2CI up here. I was actually thinking about doing the 2CI today. I was very, very close to starting the 2CI reloaded today. I've got the board here, I've got my donor there, missing a ton of parts. I might be able to salvage them from other boards, because I've got a few 2SI. I've got a few 2SI donors around, and 2SI uses a lot of the same components as the 2CI. But yeah, I very nearly, today's live stream was very nearly going to be reloaded. But what happened is I basically sat there and I'm like, I need another BlueSCSI. I'm going to be down here building a BlueSCSI. I may as well do a live stream of it. It is fantastic to keep all of these things going for as long as possible. I mean, a lot of people are going to say it's silly, it's folly, all that sort of stuff. But I just think it's wonderful to keep all of these. Oh, what's that? 331. So that's that one. Okay. Yeah, this must have fallen down onto the floor at some stage, because things have jumped out of the little compartments into other compartments. So. We had actual ownership of computers. Yeah. Okay, that's a very good question there, Will. So that's down here, and that's been put in the temporary too hard basket. What I need to do in order to get this working is I've got to get all of the bird seed that I transferred onto the Quadra 900 board and put it back, because I've put them in the wrong places. So they've got to go back onto this and start from scratch with the bird seed. So that's the only reason I haven't continued with that. But it will happen. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Okay, D1, D2, and D5. So we've got ourselves some big fat diodes here. D5, D2, and I think D1. There's D1 there. I'm just going to give this a bit of a white because there's a fair bit of corrosion on these pads. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, someone at the door. There is motion at your front door. So I'm just going to clean up these pads a little bit. These big wide ones, as you can see, they've been fairly heavily corroded. So I'm going to clean them up. Then I'm going to whip off the excess solder. And now we're all ready to stick a component on there. Diodes. I have a great deal of interest in personal computer history. You know, I've read a few books on it and stuff like that. And I find it a fascinating, really fascinating thing. It's also fascinating when you look at, you know, kind of, I guess, like the winners and the losers from it and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you know, if you think of all the companies that existed at the start of the, you know, at the beginning of the personal computer age, and how many of them are now gone. I mean, you know, look at, I guess, Compaq, gone. Wang, does everyone remember Wang? Osborne. It's, yeah, I mean, you know, you've got Microsoft and Apple are still going. IBM is still going, but it's like IBM's not what it was. I'm not saying that, you know, I mean, I'm sure they're doing fine business-wise, but what the monster that they were once upon a time, they're not that anymore. Oh, that's thunder. It's be a stone. Or was that just my wife bringing in the bin? I think that might have been my wife bringing in the bin. Bins got emptied yesterday and it's been raining the whole time, so the bin's just been sitting outside waiting to be brought back. Okay. I was thinking I might actually be able to build 2 during this live stream, but I don't think I've got any chance of that. I mean, this one was already part complete. You know what time is it? I've been going for, oh, are you serious? I've been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Holy mackerel. I sure know how to chinwag. I did say earlier on that I can assemble one of these in an hour. And here I am, 2 hours and 40 minutes into this live stream. Gosh. I'm such a prune. It's not actually a swear word, but it could be. Timex Sinclair. Texas Instruments. Epson is still around, this is true. AT&T, I mean, I've heard of AT&T, but they've never really had a presence out here. Are you talking about the rubber keyboards, Jack 68K? Yeah, my very first computer, which is a VZ200, which was based on a Laser 200, that had the rubber keys. I got really good at using them. I mean, I loved it because it was my computer. It was my first computer. I didn't care it had rubber keys. People used to come to use it, like if I had friends over, I'd say, "Oh, this is my computer," and they look at, I don't like the keyboard. It's like, piss off, it's mine. Don't be saying that about my keyboard. This is D3. Now, I continually get these around the wrong way. So I may end up having to swap these around. With this one here, which one's this one? D3. Okay, so I think it's that way. Whoopsie. I think it's this one. This one's got slightly different. I think it's the flat line goes on this side. Like that. I've got to put some flux on here first. I don't use hot air with LEDs because they can melt. I think it's that way around. Pretty sure it's that way around. Membrane keyboard, that's it. Rubbery ones will do. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Well, young people probably don't know what I'm talking about. I have a whole bunch of wacky, different coloured diodes. I could always, LEDs, I could always just choose my own colour for this if I wanted to. Rudy is here. Hello there, Rudy. Must be getting pretty late where you are. Okay, that's the activity light. And then we have this one. This is the power light. This one is a different colour, so we can tell them apart. Oh, crap. Which way does this one go? I think it's that way. There's a little mark there. I don't friggin' know. I don't friggin' know. I can test it. There is an easy way for me to test this. Make sure I've got it around the right way. I've got a BlueSCSI here. And this one has a light on it somewhere. No, it doesn't. It does have a light, I think, but it's underneath something. Yeah, there it is. The light's underneath. So I can't even access it. Curses! Okay, here's what I will do. I'll get my power supply. I'll put it on. What do you reckon? Let's say. Oh wow, I've stepped on this. That is minced. Never mind. I'll put it on, I don't know, what do you reckon? 2 volts just to be safe. And we'll go. I'm going to go, so if we go, was it negative, positive? Nope. Okay, that's working. Nope, let's try 3 volts. Should get some with 3 volts, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? Okay, so I'm not shorted that way. I'll go around that way. Oh, okay. Alright, so that way. Alright, so the light. Alright, positive there, negative there. I'm sure that one's around the right way. So this one. Okay, that one's around the right way as well. Okay, we're good. Everyone can relax. Try 12 volt. No way. No way, not an LED. It'll just cook it. No way. No way. That's my impression of what's his name? Neo from The Matrix. Now, of course, if these lights don't come on, then I know I've definitely done them around the wrong way. Neo from John Wick. Right, so there's a couple of light emitting diodes. Now we've got a little P-channel MOSFET that has to sit on there. He's just a little guy. Hey, come on, little guy. Ah, come on, guy. Now, where does he go? Is it Q2? I assume so. Oh, I need 2 of them. 2 of them, I tells you. Q1 and Q2. Blip. Where'd the first one? Oh, there's the first one. Fun fact, most diodes emit the infrared in the infrared range, but the plastic blocks the light. How about that? Those one-time emitting light emitting diodes. I've had those. I've had those. There's that one there, and that one there. You know, an interesting thing is that before the BlueSCSI existed, and many of other ones, there are lots of other ones, but there was the very first one that I am aware of was a SCSI 2SD. And the interesting thing was that it functioned in a very different way. The SCSI 2SD didn't use disk images. It was a pure emulator. And what I mean by that is that when you used to stick an SD card in it, you had effectively what was just a blank hard drive. And you would have to connect it up to a computer, a vintage computer. You would have to format it, because it really just behaved like a hard drive, like a blank hard drive, when you first set it up. But one of the things that made the SCSI 2SD effectively come to a grinding halt was a shortage of the chips that they used. They used this little SoC, system on a chip, made by a company called Cypress. I think they're now called something else. I think they got bought out by someone else. And they basically just weren't able to punch those chips out. Or they didn't punch those chips out sort of fast enough for the demand for the number of SCSI 2SDs being made. And it reached a point where you just could not get those chips, and so you couldn't make SCSI to SDs. So it was a very welcome thing, I think, when some alternatives started being put forward. Things like the BlueSCSI, which was based on the Arduino SCSI. Yeah. All right, that's that. We have got a USB-C socket. I'm really starting to get cold now that heater's gone off. Freezing my nips off. USB-C socket. And then we've got an SD card socket. Oh, we probably should put this little quick thing on as well. Apparently that's really nifty. Though I have done nothing with it. Okay, USB-C. These are nice and easy to put on because we've got little locators there. The little holes help locate it. But I'm just going to clean up these pads a bit because they do look a little bit funky. Okay, that looks good. Send heat over the internet. Yeah, we've had a pretty... I think we've had a pretty cold winter here. Some people are saying, no, it hasn't been that cold. And probably, maybe the daytime temps haven't been that bad, but it's been bloody cold in the mornings, I tell you. Not a big fan of the colder. But having said that, it is the last month of winter. We start spring next month. And typically, in this part of the world, it starts getting hot quite early. Stop bridging. I won't tell you again. I have to get some WICK here because I'm definitely bridging across some of these pins. Just used too much solder to start off with. Doesn't feel flush. Feels like it's sticking up. Is it sticking up? I can't bloody see. Not with these eyes. No, I think we're good. I think we're good. One thing I can tell you, having done this this BlueSCSI, the ones I've done in the past where I have been doing them on a board that is not all corroded like this one have been a lot easier. So the answer is don't let your boards get all corroded, which is offering advice that I don't think anyone was actually asking for. But that's okay. Oh wow, oh, that's got a lot of... That ain't going anywhere. That is well soldered on. I mean, I've really got no right to complain about cold in this part of the world because it's not proper cold. It's just Sydney complaining cold. It's me complaining that it's cold and it's not really cold, but if I'm wearing a t-shirt, keep that in mind. And I am in an uninsulated shed. Or am I in a studio that's designed to look like a shed? I call these a bikini SD card slot. I think it's a good name, but no one else calls them that, so just saying, if you do decide to start calling them that, be prepared for people to look at you funny. Alright, now I've got to try and get solder into these bloody corners. Come on. I might need something a little bit sharper. I'm just going to change my tips. That is not a euphemism. Yeah, we don't get proper cold here. The coldest it ever gets here. Now you got to remember, I'm working in Celsius because we are metricated here. But the coldest we get where I am here, probably the coldest I've ever encountered, is probably about -4 or -5 degrees C. Don't ask me what that is in Fahrenheit. I wouldn't have a clue. So this, I've got a chisel tip here. This is a really fine point. So I'm hoping to use this to kind of get in between here to get some heat onto this pad. There we go, got it. Probably melting the crap out of this little thing, but never mind. It's mine. I can melt my own stuff. No one will judge me. There you go, I think that's on. It's on good and solid. Yes, I know where freezing is. Freezing is 0. That's how it works in the metric system. Metric system is 100 is boiling point, 0 is freezing point of water. So we will get like frosts here. We don't get snow. It doesn't snow here. But we get frosts sometimes. Okay, what do we got there? SD card slot. So I think the only thing I've got left to do is put on a SCSI port. I'm not going to put on the big SD card slot because I'm not going to stick big SD cards in it. Just as simple as that. I won't bother with the power connector. Oh, I was going to put the little stupid thing on. I got one out. Did I lose it already? I must have knocked it on the floor. Well, I don't think I'll use it then. If it actually escaped, it actually ran away from being put on the board, then maybe I shouldn't use it. Time to get scuzzy. Oh, have I asked people nicely lately to please press the like button? If I haven't, please press the like button. Even if you don't like it, please press the like button. I won't tell anyone you don't like it. I won't let anyone know that you are lying. Hello to anyone who's watching this on the replay. Congratulations on getting this far. This tip's quite good for this purpose. Whoops. Here's the boring bit. Through hole soldering. Very boring. Sorry. Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, I've got to stick the pins on for the LED. Oh, and I think you need to stick pins on for other stuff too. You got this initiator thing here. You got termination power, and you got the LEDs. So, yeah, I've got those as well. Sorry. I have to grab some jumpery things. I know I've got some somewhere. Here we go. Here's some. I use yellow ones. They look nice. Don't you think? Don't you think? They look nice. With the blue. Oh, there was some just there. Idiot. So these are little, what do they call them? Jumpers or headers. Are they soldered on? Yeah, it's enough. Just enough for it to stay in place. Fell down. Mud. Probably should have cleaned these pads a little bit before I started soldering them. Yeah, that one's good. Wow, they are dirty. It's the solder is just not hanging on there. There we go. Boo boo boo. I can't even remember. I think jumpers are supposed to go on some of these. I think I'm supposed to switch termination power on. I'm not sure. That one is just not happy. Anyhow. Alright, there we go. We've got that. We've got initiator. I don't think I need to worry about that. I won't put the initiator on, but I will put the LED thingy on. It's raining again. Oh no, it's raining again. Okay. That'll do. It's not my greatest work there with that through-hole stuff, mainly because everything's getting a bit dirty. Dirty! But I do believe that I can now call this a very loud fume extractor. I can now call this finished. So let's just change to a top view. Whoa! Top view here. There we go. Now I think I've got power coming out of this one, so I'm going to just plug this in here and see what it does. Plug it in. There's a lot of flux on this board. Things could be bad. Can't get... Here we go. Oh, we got a flashing light. Yeah, okay, well, it's flashing light. The flashing light is telling me I don't have an SD card in it. So at least it's programmed, so that's something. I've probably got an SD card floating around here. Let me just have a look. I know I've got a broken one floating around here. I had that BlueSCSI before, but I don't think that actually had a card in it. There's one. Has it got a card in it? Come on. Oh, it doesn't have a card in it. Fridge magnet. Frangipani. Oh, looks like we're not putting a card in it. But anyhow, it's finished. There it is. I will test this out, and I will, of course, put the results onto my Brankus Facebook feed once it's all cleaned and tested and working and everything. But looking good. I mean, I've done my LED pins a little bit crooked, but that's okay. No one's going to complain about that, are they? No one? Shh. Do I have a USB-C here? I'd love to plug in a USB-C to check and make sure the power is working. That's USB-C. See what happens. Oh, look, flashing light. That's good. So at least we know that we're getting the power from the USB-C is going through and powering the rest of the device. So that's a good, promising thing. It's looking good. I have to say, in all honesty, I don't think I have ever built one of these that didn't work first go. So that's not to say that that will happen this time, because, you know, there's always there's a first for everything. But I'm feeling quietly confident that it will just work. So, you know, we know the power works and everything like that. And as I say, it'll look a lot better once it's been through the ultrasonic. And then hopefully this is all good to go. Now this one is going to go into my PowerMac 6100 that I have just recently been working on. And I'll get a nice little operating system on it. And because this 6100 is an AV version, I want to get some video editing software onto this. And then I might, you know, do a little test of some video editing and see how difficult, how easy, slow, annoying, frustrating it is to do a little bit of non-linear editing on a PowerMac 6100 AV. But we've all got that done. It took me over 3 hours to do it, and it was already partly done. I have just been doing too much gas bagging, haven't I? Anyhow, I hope it was fun for everyone. I am going to head off now because I need some lunch. It's 2 p.m. here, and I'm getting super, super hungry. So, as usual, I want to thank everyone for joining. I know this wasn't my normal vintage computer repair, but as I say, when I actually was planning what I was going to do today, this is something that had to be done. This is something that I really needed to do. I needed to make one of these up, and I thought, well, I can just sit here and do it in silence, or I can switch the cameras on and share the fun with everyone else. So that was the whole thing behind it. But we have reached an end. We have reached a conclusion. That conclusion has resulted in another BlueSCSI for my vintage computer collection. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for keeping me company. Thanks for all of the activity in the chat. If you haven't already, please press the like button. If you're watching this on the replay, please jump into the chat and say hello. Always appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm sorry if this was a little bit on the dull side. Oh, well, look at me, I'm on the wrong camera. I've got to go. I'm sorry about my mouse. I promise that I will have sorted the situation out with my mouse by my next live stream, and it will probably be sorted out by me using a cabled mouse. But at the moment, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to stop the stream because this thing's just not moving at all. Come on. Come on. It does take the flow out of things when I all of a sudden have to just stop. Oh, this is crazy. Come on. Maybe if I try it in a different USB port. Let's try it in that one. Very frustrating, gotta say. Okay, we're moving a little bit better now. All right, so let's go to that one. So yes, once again, thank you everyone. Hope to see you at the next one. Thank you for joining me. Just keep an eye out on my Brankos Creations Facebook page if you're a Facebook user, because I will post updates about this and the whether it works and all that sort of stuff, or if I've done something monumentally stupid and it doesn't work. So thanks again for watching. Hope to see you at the next one, and bye bye.